Hey guys, today we're going to continue our work with linear equations, plural. Specifically, today we're going to focus on two lines and if they are parallel or perpendicular. In our first video, we will be learning what makes lines parallel, what makes lines perpendicular, and there's actually a third option as well. Let's start with parallel lines. Two lines are parallel when they never cross and never intersect. For example, here's two parallel lines. So even though the lines continue on and on and on forever, they will never cross, they will never touch. Now we can kind of eyeball these lines and say, they look pretty parallel, but we want a way to make sure that the lines are definitely parallel. And the way that you make sure that lines are definitely parallel is you compare their slopes. If you have two lines that have the exact same slope, those lines are parallel. For instance, if the slope of one line is 2/3 and the slope of another line is 2/3, then you can say without a doubt that those lines are parallel. So again, to identify parallel lines, you can't just stare at them. You do need to confirm that their slopes are 100% the same. Next, we have perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are two lines that cross specifically at a 90-degree angle. Now again, we can kind of eyeball the lines and say, those look, yeah, sure, that's a 90-degree angle. We can even take out a protractor and try to figure out if it's actually 90 degrees. But we're in algebra class, not geometry class. So we're going to compare the slopes to see if two lines are perpendicular. For two lines to be perpendicular, the slopes need to be opposites and reciprocals. Now, opposite and reciprocal, those are not the same word. They do not mean the same thing. Those are two completely different words, two completely different concepts. The word opposite means that the signs are opposite. So if one is positive, the other one needs to be negative. That's what the word opposite means. And then the word reciprocal means that you're going to take a fraction and you're going to flip it upside down. So switch the numerator and the denominator. Again, those are two completely different concepts. Opposite means different signs. Reciprocal means flip it upside down. So again, for an example, if one of my slopes is 2/3, the opposite reciprocal would be negative 3/2. The opposite is making it negative. The reciprocal is flipping it upside down. If your original slope is already negative, the opposite would make it positive. Now, these are two very, very specific cases. Parallel lines never cross, perpendicular cross at a 90-degree angle, but that's not actually what normally happens. Most of the lines in the world cross, but not at a 90-degree angle. And so we don't have a special name for those. We're just going to call them neither. They're not parallel. They're not perpendicular. They're two lines that cross at a different angle than 90 degrees. Doesn't matter. It could be 89.1. Then they're neither. And we don't have any special rules for neither. It's just if it's not parallel and it's not perpendicular, then it's neither. So that's how you can tell which one it is. Let's do a sample problem where we try to tell if two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. You are allowed to use the symbols from geometry class instead of writing out the entire word. So the two lines, like the two L's, that means parallel. The upside down T means perpendicular, and then you can just use the letter N for neither. So here I have two linear equations. And so I want to try to tell parallel, perpendicular, neither. And to do that, I need to know what their slopes are. Now, each of these equations is in standard form. And as we learned yesterday, standard form, it just looks pretty. And you can't stare at it and find anything. The slope is not the number in front of the letter X. So I need to take each of these equations and convert them into a form that has the word slope in the title. And the easiest one to do would be to convert these to slope-intercept form. Because in slope, intercept form, I can find my slope. So as a refresher, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b, where the y is all by itself. And so to do that, I need to first, to change from standard to slope-intercept, I'm going to take my x and I'm going to move it to the other side. So I'm going to subtract my 2x. I do want my x to be first and my number to be second, so I'm going to put that negative 2x in front. And in this problem, I'm done, right? My letter y is completely by itself. And so now let's convert the other equation. So again, I'm going to take my x and I'm going to subtract it to the other side, putting it in front of that positive 10. Now in this problem, I do still have a number in front of my y, and that's not good for slope-intercept form, so I need to divide everything 3 different places by -2. And then I get this. Notice on this one, a double negative is going to cancel out to a positive, and the 2 has to stay under the fraction bar. If it helps, you can write an invisible 1 right here, so you can see that it's the fraction 1/2. And then, again, the double negative cancels out. Now that these are both in slope-intercept form, I can stare at them and find the slope. The slope is the number in front of the x. So on my first equation, my slope is -2/1. I'm going to write it as a fraction to help me out later. And in my second equation, my slope is +1/2. And so what I usually do, it's a very quick mental checklist in my head. I ask myself first, are these slopes exactly the same? Because that would mean that they are parallel. And the answer is no, they're not. Next on my checklist is, do they have opposite signs, and are they also flipped upside down from each other? And both things have to happen. It can't just be one. So I check, do they have opposite signs? Yes, this one is negative. That one is positive. Are they flipped? This is why I wrote that as a fraction. So 2/1 and 1/2, those are flipped upside down. That means these are perpendicular. Beyond a doubt, definitely perpendicular. If you said no to that second thing on your checklist, then you would have chosen the option of neither. This concludes our first video. The homework tonight is a worksheet which will be posted after the second video.